What's happening? It's your boy Mo Johnson, and this is Man Cave Analytics Podcast, episode 4. And on this episode, I will be breaking down the NFC North as part 4 of my 8-part NFL Power Ranking special. Also, want to give a quick shout out to the NFL Facebook groups and the YouTube viewership. Thanks for the views and the feedback. And to all my newcomers to Man Cave Nation, if you like what you hear or the content that I provide, please don't forget to hit that like or subscribe button. Man Cave out. Yo, what is going on, Man Cave Nation? We are back. About to go ahead and break down this NFC North, but before I do that, I got a comment from a subscriber who listened to the show, and he said that it would probably be cool if I make it a little bit more interactive. So, you know, it's Man Cave Analytics, man. We are fans. This is for the fans, by the fans, because we are sport fans over here. So I thought that I would kind of switch it up a little bit and do this breakdown just a little bit different. And by doing that, I mean that I'm going to ask 3 comment subscriber questions that I've been getting from NFL groups on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. So I'm going to start that off before I even begin talking about each individual team. So just so y'all know ahead of time, you know what I'm saying? And I'm doing that because I want the feedback. I want y'all to, get in the comments, let me know what you feel, or once it's shared to Facebook, if we in the group chopping it up, man, get back with your boy, man. But these are 3 pertinent questions that I feel like need to be asked for each individual team. Some I got from subscribers and some I made myself. So, just something to, break the monotony up a little bit and do this thing a little bit different, man. So, number 1, for the first team, I have the Minnesota Vikings. The 3 questions that I have for the Vikings, and 2 of these I got came up with on my own, and one I got from a subscriber. Excuse me. The first question is, what will the offense look like under Coach DeFlippo, who was the offensive coordinator for the Minnesota Vikings, who used to be the quarterbacks coach for the Philadelphia Eagles? The second one is, got this from the subscriber, will Dalvin Cook get the run game going and have a breakout year? The third question is, can Cousins propel the team to a deep playoff run, possibly a Super Bowl? Now that we got that out the way, man, I'm not going to give my opinion on that because I got plenty of other shit that I could talk about or whatever. But that's for y'all. Y'all chop that up, leave it in the comments, like, share, subscribe, give me some feedback. You know how this works. So, as I said, the number 1 team that I got in the NFC North coming out this year is the Minnesota Vikings. Their strengths is they have a prolific passer in Kirk Cousins, technically sound and stingy defense with a Pro Bowler at every level, complimentary wide receiver core, top 10 tight end, good special teams, and experienced coaching staff. The weaknesses, they need to get better on pass blocking offensive line. They gave up a lot of sacks last year. Lack of a dynamic running game, more explosive on offense, and I think that they need more depth at the pass rushing positions. Last year, as far as their rankings, they were 11th in passing, 7th in running, number 1 in total defense with 14 picks and 37 sacks. In the draft, they went out and got cornerback Mike Hughes, who is a tough boundary corner who excels in zone coverages and a good tackler. Round 2, they got Brian O'Neill, offensive guard, who's an athletic guard who fits perfect for Minnesota's zone blocking scheme. Round 4, they got Jalen Holmes, defensive tackle to add depth, who has good get off and first step consistent motor and plays with good leverage. Round 5, they got Tyler Conklin, tight end, great catch radius, tough over the middle, and competes for the ball on 50-50 throws. Also an adequate red zone threat. So, with that small breakdown, just the facts of what the Minnesota Vikings are going to be, coming with what they tried to do this year as far as the draft and free agency and everything. My take on the Minnesota Vikings is pretty much they're the same team that they were last year, except they got Kirk Cousins, who in my mind is a better quarterback. Prolific passer, make all the throws. I think he can adapt to any offense, whether it's a power scheme type of offense, West Coast offense. He can make all the throws. Good at reading defenses. The main thing is just how is he going to be able to equate himself to this offense. I think as far as the verbiage and being able to get the plays down, that's pretty much never been a problem. He's a very cerebral quarterback, so I don't think that's going to be an issue. But just these are good questions that we had in the comment questions or whatever, because I feel those are actually the things that is kind of going to see, is Minnesota going to turn the corner? Last year I feel like they just had a decent running attack, but it was more of like by attrition. It wasn't explosive. Once Dalvin Cook went down, because I'm drawing a blank on the running back's name. Latavius Murray, excuse me. He's kind of between the tackles guy, not really explosive, not gonna break any long runs off. He'll get you what you need, get you 3.5, 4 yards per carry, but just not really no explosion. And with that offensive line just being average, even though they're decent at run blocking, the run game really wasn't explosive. So when you got in times where teams played them to take away Thielen, to take away Stephon Diggs or the tight end, they couldn't really lean on the running game to not just move the chains, but kind of break the game open. So with Dalvin Cook back, it's going to be real interesting, man. If they're going to lean on him and try to put him in real positions where he can be successful and not just move the chains, but actually make that offense more explosive. Other than that, man, the defense is what it is. It's top notch. They were number one for a reason. I felt like towards the end of the year last year, though, their pass rush kind of fell off because they didn't really have that much depth. It was teams having to run the ball on them and having to play somewhat conservative because their defense was so good. I think the defensive ends and defensive tackles just got worn down towards the course of the season. Hence the reason why their sacks dropped off. Even when you look at the playoff games when they played New Orleans, and even when they played Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC Championship games, the pass rush was kind of null and void, non-existent. It wasn't there. So they did some things in the draft to definitely address that. They did some things in free agency, going out and get Trent Richardson. So I definitely feel that the defense is they coming off the bus with that defense. You know what they're coming with. We know that that's the staple of their team. So I don't see any issues over there on that side of the ball. But mainly, man, just them being able to play together better, repeat what they did last year, build on what they did last year, and continue with good quarterback play. And there's an opportunity for them to be able to go deep in the playoffs and possibly go to the Super Bowl this year. Definitely. So I got them at number one, man. Number two is the Green Bay Packers. Comment contributor questions for the Green Bay Packers are: can Mike Pettin turn his defensive unit into a top 10 defense? Number two, can the running back by committee approach keep the offense rolling, or will one of them emerge as the featured back? Question number three, will the wide receiver core be as dynamic without Jordy Nelson? The strengths for the Green Bay Packers are Hall of Fame QB, top 5 wide receiver in Devontae Adams, great pass blocking offensive line, top tier tight end, innovative West Coast offense, aggressive offensive play calling. Last year on offense, they were ranked 26th in total offense, 25th in passing, 17th in rushing. Weaknesses: lack of consistent run game, no interior pass rush, need more turnovers on defense, run defense, and pass defense. 22nd in total defensive ranking with 51 sacks and 18 interceptions. Now, in the draft, round 1, they got Jair Alexander, who's a sub 40 time at the combine, great man coverage skill, quick feet and hips to mirror the wide receiver. Round 2, they went out and got Josh Jackson, good physical corner for bump and run coverage, good ball hawking skills, led the nation in interceptions last year in the NCAA. Round 3, they got Owen Burks, outside linebacker. In round 4, they got Jamon Moore. If free agency, they got cornerback Devon House. Good all-around corner, can play in slot and nickel packages. They also got cornerback Jamal Williams. Great bump and run and off-man corner with great instincts and ball skills. Defensive end Muhammad Wilkerson. Great run defender, can rush the passer and push the pocket. Can also play inside on sub packages and on third down as well. They also got tight end Jimmy Graham. Great seam threat, move tight end, and ultimate red zone weapon. Now, Vikings fans, you gotta excuse me here because I feel like Green Bay got something going on this year and they're going to be a formidable team. I know that Minnesota Vikings is pretty much coming back with the same squad that they had last year, and they upgraded themselves by getting Kirk Cousins and doing some things in the draft and free agency. But the one thing that I look at with Green Bay is that it was always a glaring need and something that pretty much stopped them from making another Super Bowl run, because I mean they had no other excuse. The offense was always rolling, good play calling in my opinion, but they were just never able to get that defense right. Well, they kind of went out and tried to adjust and make a change with that, I think, this year by going out to get Mike Pettin, who I highly respect, who's a great defensive mind. And they also went out and got veteran players to bridge with the rookie players that they have, especially in the secondary. I feel like Mike Pettin is a player's coach from what I've read, articles and things that I've seen and from other teams. And he comes from that Rex Ryan coaching tree where they like to run a lot of man coverage. They use exotic blitzes, and it's a complex scheme, but he allows his players to still use their attributes and what they're good at to go out and make plays. So I feel like this defense is going to make a serious turn this year as far as the production on the field and being able to get off the field and get the ball back to Aaron Rodgers. All of these cornerbacks have different skill sets, but the one good thing about them, they all can turn around and run. They all can mirror the wide receiver, and they're all good at everything. Not great, but good. And when you're playing as a group, as a unit, when the back end can take care of the front end by staying with their man, and them having I think the kids, what's the kid's name from USC? God damn it, I can't think of his name right now. I think it's Perry, the outside linebacker. And then you have Clay Matthews, other bookends with Muhammad Wilkerson and Mike Daniels. I really feel like this is going to be a formidable defense as far as stopping the run and stopping the pass. So I say that to say that I picked the Minnesota Vikings analytically because, again, to come back with the same team. And I respect Coach Zimmer, I respect the coaching staff, but there's a lot of variables. Even though Kirk Cousins is a good perennial Pro Bowler and a great quarterback, Coach Don DeFilippo is coming from that Andy Reid coaching tree, and he was coaching in the Philadelphia Philadelphia Eagles last year as the quarterback's coach. But there's still a lot of variables there, and we don't know how that offense is going to mold and shape. Defensively, you know they're going to be there, but what are they going to get production-wise from the offense? So that's kind of why I'm high on Green Bay, and I feel like even though I put the Vikings number one out of respect and just analytics on what they're bringing to the table, if I had to, Green Bay Packers would be 1B to the Vikings 1A. And I really feel like that the Pack, they're going to be coming with something this year. Definitely. And I don't think that Jordy Nelson, him leaving the team, is going to hurt them as much, because I think their run game is going to take off as well. That's the one good thing about Aaron Rodgers being hurt last year. They were able to realize that, hey, we have to play as a team now. We can't just rely on him to mask all of our deficiencies. He's not here. He's hurt. So they ran the ball a lot more last year. They leaned on players that they normally wouldn't go to. Guys, second and third year wide receivers, second and third option wide receivers, if you will. Tight ends that they don't normally play. They came out in different formations that they normally don't run when Aaron Rodgers is on the field, because they had to compartmentalize things and look at their strengths and give teams different looks, because they didn't have a Hall of Fame quarterback, under center, just stepping back and just spraying the field. They couldn't do that. So with that being said, I think that the run game and the addition of Jimmy Graham is going to keep this offense on track. So they're going to score points. That's just what it is. They got Aaron Rodgers. I'm sorry. But this defense, if this defense can get rolling, I look for them, and I'm going to go out on the limb. I look for them the first 6 games to probably go undefeated. I've seen the schedule already and everything, but I really feel like they can possibly damn near go into 7 weeks without losing the game. If this defense commits and plays the way I feel like they're going to play under Mike Pettin, it's going to be a very good team to watch out for. Very good team to watch out for. So that's my take on the Green Bay Packers. Don't forget to go in the comment section, man, and answer those questions. Give me some feedback on that. Let me know what y'all think. Third team we're going to go with is the Chicago Bears. And the contributor questions for the Chicago Bears is: can Mr. Trubisky be this year's Jared Goff? Can Vic Fangio defense mold into a top 10 form? Are the Bears ready to challenge the Vikings and the Packers in year 1? Now, Chicago Bears strengths: great running back tandem, rising young QB, strong front 7, versatile players on defense. Weaknesses: pass blocking, run defense, explosive plays on offense, lack of turnovers on defense. They were 30th in total offense, 16 rushing, 32 passing, 10th in total defense, 8 picks, 42 sacks. In a draft, round 1, they got Roquan Smith, middle linebacker, rangy linebacker with elite speed, fundamentally sound tackler, playmaker, and coverage. Round 2, they went out and got James Daniels, center, smart, versatile player who can play both guard positions and center. Round 2, they got Anthony Miller, wide receiver, great speed and route running ability, can play the slot and outside. In free agency, they got Aaron Lynch, outside linebacker, good all-around backer who can set the edge, rush the passer, cover tight ends and backs out the backfield. They got Allen Robinson, great catch radius, big play wide receiver, big body wide receiver who can challenge vertically. They also got Trey Burton, move tight end and H-back. Taylor Gabriel, wide receiver, home run wide receiver with the ability to take the top off the defense. So that's what the Chicago Bears are coming with this year as far as free agency in the draft. The moves that they made, obviously going out and getting a new offensive coordinator, because that last offensive coordinator and just coaching staff as a whole was just trash. No disrespect, John Fox, but he's another one of them coaches that's kind of getting them passing by a little bit. But Matt Nagy is from the Andy Reid coaching tree. I want y'all to see the trends here, okay? You got Andy Reid, who for the last 2 or 3 years has had one of the most explosive offenses in the NFL. His offensive coordinator was Doug Peterson. Doug Peterson leaves and goes to Philadelphia with Carson Wentz. 2 years removed from Kansas City, they win a Super Bowl. Now Doug Peterson's coaching tree, which was not really all the way developed yet, is getting plucked with John DeFilippo and then Matt Nagy, who came from Kansas City, who was the offensive coordinator when Doug Peterson left. So look for them to kind of do some of the things that the Kansas City Chiefs do, because they run that kind of attacking style of West Coast offense. They want to challenge you vertically more so than horizontally, which is a typical West Coast offense. They want to get down the field. They want to attack you at every level and make the defense rather choose to pick their poison. We're going to hit you deep, we're going to hit you over the middle, we're going to hit you in the flats. You can't cover everything. And coupled with the run game and the fact that they already are a decent middle of the pack team as far as running the ball, if they can start being able to take shots vertically and start getting more chunk plays, and Mitchell Trubisky gets more comfortable in his role on his team offensively, I think with the defense that they already have, which is a sound defense, they just needed a couple pieces here and there, because they weren't bad last year. They just weren't dominant, if you can say. But to couple with the offense being more productive from a passing perspective, and that defense making more plays, I think the Bears are going to sneak up on people. I'm not saying they're going to the playoffs, not putting them in the Super Bowl, but they're going to be a lot better because they're going to be a better all-around team. I feel like this offense is very friendly when it comes to gifted players because they work on the matchup game. That's Andy Reid's whole philosophy. Even though he attacks you at different levels from the West Coast variation, they're real big on matchups. And they have things on this offense now, with Taylor Gabriel, with Allen Robinson, with Tariq Cohen, with the running game, where they can go out and put points up on the board, or at least continue to move the ball. If they have to play a possession game, they're not just going to, dull out at the 50-yard line and just can't move the ball anymore. And also, you look at the offenses that, Andy Reid has ran in the past, and Doug Peterson has been the offensive coordinator, and even still in Kansas City last year with Matt Nagy being the offensive coordinator, they always have a decent quarterback. Not great, but the traits always is decent release. They're athletic, semi-athletic, not a mobile running type quarterback like Mike Vick or some of these other quarterbacks, but somebody who can move, where they can change the launch point of the pocket, roll them out. You know what I mean? So Matt Trubisky is a sneaky athletic quarterback. He's not slow. He's not one of them guys that's just going to sit in the pocket that's statuesque. They can move him around and do things that make him more comfortable, especially if their offensive line is not going to hold up with 5 and 7 and 9-step drops. So with that being said, man, this NFC North is shaping up to where it's going to be competitive. It's not going to just be the Vikings and that's it, or the Vikings and the Green Bay just okay because they got Aaron Rodgers. No, Green Bay's going to have a defense this year. Chicago's going to be a better all-around team this year. The Vikings, once we figure out what they're going to be under, again, John DeFilippo and the new quarterback situation there with Kirk Cousins, once we figure out what they're going to be, those are 3 teams right there that you're going to have to deal with. And they're going to be balanced. It's not going to just be, oh, we're good at defense, oh, we're good at offense. No, they're going to hit you on both sides of the ball. So that's my take on the Bears, man. Again, 1 through 3, solid teams. Now, let's go to the Detroit Lions, who I have number 4. I'm sorry, Lions fans. I hope y'all don't feel some kind of way. This is just Man Cave Analytics. This is what we came up with after looking at tape of last year, looking at the coaching changes, looking at free agency, what they done in the draft, what their philosophies potentially can be. It's just where they at. Could be wrong. They might be number 1 in the division next year. I mean, I doubt it. Again, no disrespect, but this is what we got. So the questions for the Detroit Lions is: will Matt Patricia forge his own path or use the New England model? Number 2, can Matt Stafford excel with a balanced attack? Number 3, can they compete in this division year 1? The Detroit Lions' strength: up-tempo passing offense, versatile wide receiver core, gunslinger, and ultimate competitor at QB with an opportunistic defense. Weaknesses is no running game, one-dimensional offense, lack of depth on the D-line, these upgrades at both outside linebacker spots, need talent in interior offensive line for more push in the running game. In the draft, round 1, they got Frank Ragnow, center. Day 1 starter with good technique, good feet, can play in any blocking scheme. Round 2, they got Kerryon Johnson, running back. Downhill runner who's tough between the tackles, play with low pad level, great in short yardage and red zone situations. Round 3, Tracy Walker, safety. Big hitting, good tackling safety with range to play center field. Round 4, Deshaun Hand, defensive end, 3 or 5 technique in the 3-4 with good get off and violent hands. First and second down player for sure. Last year on offense, they were 13th, 6 in passing, 32 in rushing. On defense, they were 27th in total defense, 18 versus the rush, 27 versus the pass. They had 19 picks, 35 sacks. My take, man, on the Lions, first of all, really don't know what they're going to try to do. We know what they're coming to the table with from an offensive perspective. Matt Stafford is one of my favorite quarterbacks. He's gritty, he's a gunslinger, he's not scared to make any kind of throws, so I like him. I love his weapons at wide receiver, Golden Tate, Marvin Jones, two underrated tough guys with good speed, good run after the catch, will go over the middle and make a play. They also have I think Deshaun Galladay, I think that's his name. If I'm butchering his name, excuse me. Just don't have it wrote down here. But good vertical threat wide receiver, runs good deep routes. Needs to work on his short intermediate game a little bit, but tall, fast receiver, good guy. But just the fact that they don't run the ball, like they really remind me of the old school Miami Dolphins back in the day with Dan Marino. Dan Marino's like one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time, in my opinion. He just didn't win the Super Bowl, so he doesn't, get that respect. But when it comes to just pure raw talent and throwing the ball, there was nobody better. And that's kind of where I feel that Matt Stafford is kind of similar to him, because he never had a running game. They tried in the past. I think the closest that they came was the year Reggie Bush played with them. I think they was getting like 3.5 a carry, which in that offense and with that team and the way that they didn't make any emphasis on the run game at all, that's actually kind of good. But they've spent picks on the line. They spent picks at running back, first round, second round picks at running back, and it just never panned out. So just looking at it analytically, you wonder, like, is it just the offensive coordinator and Stafford that don't want them to run the ball? They just want to sling it across the yard? Or is it just they're just that bad at running the ball? What is it? But I feel like now that Matt Patricia's there, who's a more defensive-minded quarterback, he's not going to want Matt Stafford to just be one-dimensional. He wants his offense to be somewhat balanced, especially coming from New England, where they've always traditionally had a good running game. I feel that, they're going to make an attempt, if anything. But I watched this kid, Kerryon Johnson, in the SEC last year. Good downhill running back. Everything, all the traits that I said about him, that's what he is. He also has somewhat breaking speed. He kind of gets ran down a little bit, but when it comes to just straight running the ball through the tackles, he's likened to Frank Gore, in my opinion. Gets real good, got real good pad level, gets real low. And the Frank Ragnow pick, that's a good pick, because now they'll have somebody in the middle of that offensive line that wants to work to get upfield and get a hat on the hat, so they can make an attempt to start going up the A and the B gap and start backing these teams up, or making these teams pay for playing pass defense against the Lions. Defensively, I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if they're running the 3-4 or 4-3, because the personnel that they have, they already kind of had tweeners at certain positions. I don't see them putting some of the defensive ends that they have and standing them up. But again, at the same time, Belichick runs some kind of funky 4-3-3-4 mix of formations, and that's what Matt Patricia, is used to calling. So he might be doing something like that. From a secondary aspect, I feel like last year, they have Darius Slay, great cornerback. I think went to the Pro Bowl this year, was in the top 100, which is making plays all over and just jumping on shit. They got Glover Quinn, good safety, can play in the box, can drop back on that deep third, he can do his thing. Secondary, I think they'll be okay, but that front seven is just looking real shoddy, and I just don't know what to expect. So it's kind of a gift and a curse at the same time, because how are you going to ask him to be conservative, meaning Matt Stafford, when you're probably going to have to put up points just to win games? Because I don't think this defense is built at this point to be able to stop anybody. I could be wrong, but I don't see it. And you can mess some things together scheme wise, because when you really look at it from Matt Patricia's perspective, excuse me for butchering his name the way I am, sorry, but they never just had all world players around him. He just worked with what he had. So he might be implementing that there in Detroit. I don't know. It might come out and have a top 10 defense full of no-name players. It could happen like that easy, because when you look at New England, who do they have in their front seven that you can just automatically recognize as just some immovable force that's just out here just wrecking shit? No, they play as a team, and they go by the scheme, and they game plan to take things away from the other team. So as a unit, they're great. But nobody individually on that New England Patriot team was ever just a beast. Probably except for Richard Seymour and some of them old school guys back in the day, Teddy Bruschi and cats like that. But they don't traditionally have those kind of guys anymore. It's pretty much, a by committee thing. So that might be what he's doing here, because when the draft came and I'm looking at the picks, and I like Frank Rick now, I like Kerryon Johnson, but it's like after that, Tracy Walker, I mean, you got Glover Quinn, you got like 2 or 3 safeties that can play. Why are you drafting that guy? And you come out and get Deshaun Hannon, which, he looks the part, but I didn't see him making any plays in Alabama. He was a rotational guy. And I mean, at the times he did start, Deron Payne and the other guy that plays in Washington now, what is his name? I'm just off on names. I'm so sorry. But those guys are making plays. Deshaun Hand wasn't really making no plays like that. But he's one of those ceiling guys where if you can get him in the right scheme and coach him up and get the right coach in his ear, he can be great. Because like I said, he looked the part. He's huge. And the skill set that he does have right now, even though it's not consistent, and his motor's not consistent, if he starts to play at the level that he's capable of, he can be a game-changing player. Don't get me wrong. But even still, though, with the picks, it's like you look at it, it's like, damn, you need so much shit on that front seven. Why did you make those picks? But they got people that they pay to make these kind of decisions, so maybe they know something more than I do. But as of right now, man, Detroit Lions number 4. That's where I got them. That's what I think they're gonna be. Record-wise, I don't know what they're gonna do overall, how they're gonna look, but I do know that they have a good quarterback and that offense is going to be good. Just trying to see how they're going to scheme it. And is Matt Patricia gonna take that Bill Belichick approach and kind of hinder that man and not let him be himself? Because I think that's going to be telling during the course of the season. When you start looking at the offense and how it breaks down as far as the run to pass ratio, what kind of throws they're making, are they taking shots, are they doing exotic things with the offense or trying to go out and be explosive, or are they just trying to just call things to keep the defense off the field, being conservative. And I just don't think that's Matt Stafford's game. I think you have to just let him play and you have to live with whatever he does, because that's when he's at his best, because he's a competitor, no doubt. The other thing about Matt Patricia that I kind of look at and he kind of fits that mold is, you notice, man, when they always get these guys from New England, they always try to do that transplant shit, which I think is dangerous and it can cost you your job. As we've seen with Josh Daniels when he went to Denver, trying to do everything that you do in New England in Denver. Start getting rid of players and alienating guys, just, not team guys or whatever, that's not gonna kiss your ass or let you talk crazy to them or let you just do whatever. They're players, they're men's men, and I just hope that he doesn't start doing that, because when you see Josh McDaniels, Romeo Crennel, the coach that went to Notre Dame, they tried that, and the thing with me is that doesn't work. You don't have Tom Brady, you don't have Bill Belichick, so you don't have the New England Patriots. You got whatever team that you're on, and you need to go out and implement your system and your way of doing things. You can take things that you got and learn from New England, that's fine, but trying to go and take a culture from somewhere else and put it in this new place, that shit ain't gonna work. And I feel if he does that, he's gonna be back there in 2 years coaching, because I'm telling you that it never works. It never works. Be who you are, do what you do what you've done to get you to this point, and take the things that Belichick has taught you. No problem. I get that you'd be a fool not to. He's a Hall of Fame coach, one of the greatest coaches in the NFL, in NFL history. But again, that's what he's doing, and he made his bones doing things his way. But you got to go do things your way. So I never heard a lot about Matt Patricia. I've read articles on him, what kind of guy he is and his background, but he doesn't strike me as an individual that might want to forge his own path. He kind of seems like a clone type. And him and Josh McDaniels, that's who was there last time, and Josh McDaniels did that same shit when he went to Denver. You know, there's a reason why he didn't take that Indianapolis job. He don't want it. He waiting on Bill to leave so he can get that New England job, and he would rather do it while Tom Brady's still playing. See, because he want to be Bill Belichick. He ain't gonna come out and say that, but it's clear. And that's why, you know, his offense is good and all that, but at the same time, I can't give you that much credit because you playing with Tom Brady. So I'm like, you know, I don't really like that guy. I'm just gonna be honest with you. He kind of just comes off as a prick. Excuse my language, but I hope Matt Patricia, man, tries to go out and just do his thing and don't try to make it New England North, because that shit's not gonna work, bro. You're gonna lose and you're gonna get fired. Be who you are. So Detroit Lions fans, hey, we'll see when the season happens, man, how this thing gonna look, man. But like I said, I'm a fan of Matt Stafford, man, and I love what he does. So the sky is definitely limited. In the worst case scenario, y'all might take y'all lumps this year, but then hey, he comes out, drafts well next year, and you see where you at and what you need to build on, and you can be in contention. You know, sometimes you gotta fall before you can get back up. You feel me? All right, so that's the NFC North. It's your boy Mo Johnson, and I'm out.